When you plead guilty to filing false documents in a court case and you're a lawyer, you're going to lose your bar licenses. And that's what's happened to Ken Chesebro, one of the co-conspirators with Donald Trump, who pled guilty in Georgia and has now lost his New York bar license. I'm Michael Popak. We have reporting today that Ken Chesebro, one of the architects of the fake elector scheme, if not the main brain trust behind it, along with John Eastman, who wrote all of the memos and legal memos that were relied upon and contorted and distorted by MAGA to try to use Jan 6th as some sort of Waterloo, some sort of time to set fire to democracy. Now we've got Ken Chesebro paying the piper. Remember, he got indicted, convicted, pled guilty in Georgia for his role in helping to submit fake documentation, being the fake elector certificates. He apparently, Ken Chesebro, had a series of bar licenses. As a lawyer, let me tell you, this is how it works. You have to have a bar license to practice in each individual state and in the federal court separately and federal court separately. You have to usually take a test, or sometimes you're able to waive in if there's reciprocity. And it's not unusual for a lawyer to have more than one bar license in order to practice around the country. I have a couple of bar licenses. I'm admitted in federal courts around the country, and apparently so is Ken Chesebro. But when you plead guilty to a crime involving your law license and the positions that you've taken before a court, you're going to pay the consequences. I mean, Ken Chesebro should have known that a year ago when he pled guilty in Georgia, that alone, let alone the indictment in Arizona, the lawsuits in Wisconsin, the unindicted co-conspirator status in the District of Columbia, that this would, sort of raise the hackles of the bar grievance committees. And the way that New York works is that anyone can file a bar grievance against a lawyer. In this case, there is a public interest group known as Lawyers Defending American Democracy that decided that against the Jan 6th insurrectionist attorneys and insurrectionists themselves, that they would file grievances around the country against their bar licenses and make the grievance committees and the responsible courts do something about it. So that's what happened here. Back in October 12th of 2022, to the Attorney Grievance Committee for the Supreme Court of the state of New York, which is the trial level court. Every lawyer like me in New York is governed by one of the appellate divisions or the departments. I'm in the first department. Other people are in other departments. And here, apparently, Ken Chesebro was originally admitted in the third department. So this was addressed ultimately to the third department, and it laid out that Chesebro, Eastman, and Rudy Giuliani devised and attempted to implement a fraudulent scheme relying on fake electors in order to overturn Joe Biden's irrefutable victory in the 2020 presidential election. They go on to detail in their letter all the multiple ways that Ken Chesebro violated the rules of professional responsibility in New York and in other places. The code of professional responsibility is about the same as ethics requirements in most states. I'll just give you some summaries of the bullet points, that Chesebro conceived and participated in planning and promoting the creation of the fake electors in multiple states, that he advanced and promoted the false legal theory that Vice President Pence could declare that the electoral slates from the multiple states were disputed by virtue of these fake elector slates, and that he could declare the outcome of the electoral count in favor of Trump. That Chesebro knew that the scheme to submit the fake elector slates and to propose the vice president as the sole arbiter of the outcome had no basis in fact or law. We know that also from some new filings by the special counsel, Jack Smith, in the D.C. election interference case, where Ken Chesebro was an unindicted co-conspirator, Donald Trump being the indicted co-conspirator, because we just got our hands on an appendix of 3,000 pages of documents, including John Eastman's and Ken Chesebro's legal memos in which they laid out the whole fake elector scheme. They also said that in their complaint that Chesebro conspired with Rudy Giuliani and John Eastman and others to subvert our democracy by preventing the proper certification of Mr. Biden's victory, and that this all reflected poorly on someone's fitness to be a lawyer in violation of a number of rules of professional responsibility in New York and in other places. The older I get, the more I find myself wanting to be intentional about how I live, eat, and take care of my body. That's why I'm so excited about Mosh Bars, a protein snack that not only satisfies, but helps me live intentionally too. Mosh Bars are more than just your average protein bar. They're packed with ingredients that support brain health, including ashwagandha, lion's mane, collagen, and omega-3s. With 8 delicious flavors, including a plant-based option in peanut butter and chocolate, there's something for everyone. What sets Mosh apart is their new formulation featuring Cognizin, a premium nootropic that supplies the brain with a patented form of acetylcholine. It's a brain-boosting ingredient you won't find in any other bar. I've made Mosh bars part of my daily routine, and I love how they keep me fueled throughout the day. My favorite flavor is banana bread, but I haven't tried a bar from them I haven't loved. Mosh was founded by Maria Shriver and her son Patrick Schwarzenegger, inspired by their family's experience with Alzheimer's. They're committed to brain health research, with a portion of proceeds going to the Women's Alzheimer's Movement. If you want a snack that's good for your brain and tastes amazing, Mosh bars are the way to go. Head to moshlife.com/legalaf to save 20% off plus free shipping on the Best Sellers Trial Pack. That's 20% off plus free shipping on the Best Sellers Trial Pack at moshlife.com/legalaf. And now we have the result. Ken Chesebro has been suspended indefinitely pending a further review at some other time. Usually these suspensions last at least 5 years by a court, the 3rd District Court of Appeal in New York, who, upon the recommendation of the grievance committee right below it, and after an evidentiary hearing and submissions by the parties, has decided that Ken Chesebro is unfit to practice law in the state of New York. Now, he's also has a law license in Massachusetts and Texas, in California and Florida, and in other places. It really depends on the place. I doubt Texas, for instance, is going to yank his ticket. They didn't yank the ticket of Sidney Powell, and she did as much, if not more, to damage democracy and breach her ethics code. Texas, the courts there rallied around Sidney Powell and kept her license in place. California, I could see him clearly losing his license. Florida's a tough place. Even though the governor is Republican, it is governed by something called the Florida Bar, of which I am a member. The Florida Bar usually takes these things seriously. It's independent from the governor. The current board of governors and then the ethics committees within it take this type of charge very seriously. I think it's 50-50. He loses his license in Florida. Certainly Massachusetts he will, and certainly California he will, fast on the heels of New York. This is what we saw with Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani first lost his law license in in New York, where he basically didn't even defend himself. And the same thing happened in the District of Columbia. So he is an unlicensed 80-year-old guy, Rudy Giuliani, who's struggling to turn over his assets as required by a federal judge to pay a defamation judgment of $148 million. As far as I know, he still hasn't turned over it, and he's risking being in contempt of court with the judge. So this is what happens, and this is why these groups like Lawyers Defending Democracy are out there. This is why ads have been placed in places where lawyers read, like bar journals and other places, to warn them, don't follow Donald Trump over the abyss. You'll lose your law license. Don't take meritless, bad faith positions that you know are false in a courtroom just because you're being paid by Donald Trump or his PAC and expect to get away with it. I mean, I reported on this on Legal AF a couple of weeks ago. An entire set of ads have gone up that are focused on attorneys to get them to understand that their law license, their profession, and their ethics are more important than representing their client. You represent them zealously, yes, but you can't represent them fraudulently. We are an honored profession, despite what some people might think, and we are bound by ethics codes and by these things. And so I wanted to follow it. I think it's important that the audience here on Legal AF, the new YouTube channel, and on at the intersection of law and politics, I think it's important that we talk about justice, that we talk about the criminal justice, the civil justice system, the bar associations, the grievance committees, all trying to punish people who do bad things. And we'll report on it right here. I'm at the intersection of law and politics every day, every hour on Legal AF, the YouTube channel, which you can find at LegalAFMTN. You're already here. Hit the free subscribe button. Ask friends and family to do the same thing as we build this channel to survive and thrive on the other side of the election. And then, of course, Legal AF, the podcast on the MeidasTouch Network every Wednesday and Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We can watch us live record or on podcast platforms, audio podcast platforms of your choice. So until my next contribution, I am Michael Popak, and I'm reporting. In collaboration with the MeidasTouch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories, the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.